In this video, I'm going to start talking about Ansible lookup plugins. So let's look at a simple example of this. So basically what we're going to start getting into is there's ways for you to do additional processing or to pull additional information in using these things called lookups. So here I have a playbook. It's going to operate on this host local. Now look at this vars definition. I have this file called, or this variable called contents that I'm going to create. How is that variable created? It's actually going to call this lookup. The lookup is going to use the file lookup, and it's going to read this information in here from this file. So basically there's going to be some file, show IP int brief.txt, which is located here and just contains that information. And we're just going to basically use this lookup to read it in and read that content in as a variable. Now let me comment out lines 12 through the end of the file. So now all I do here is I just do a print statement, print out the contents variable. Where did the contents variable come from? It came from using this file lookup on this show IP int brief.txt. And there you can see I have this message. It has this routing table. Now the output of this is ugly due to Ansible. So you can see it's not actually printing the \ins as new lines. It's just doing a literal \in the output string. So let's make that look a little bit nicer. How do we make that look a little bit nicer? We can actually just do a debug on our contents variable dot split lines. So basically this is going to convert this variable from being a string to being an array to being a list when we print it out, and it gets displayed a lot nicer as a list. So let's go ahead and look at that output. And now you can see we have a nicer output format here. Much more readable. It's been broken up into a list, and each of the entries here is the individual lines in the file. Now notice here we do have an interesting aspect of Ansible, is that here I have a variable and I'm calling this string method. And there actually is a lot of string methods available to us that we can just directly use. So if I go to line 16 and look at this line, you can see I'm doing contents.splitlines. I split it into a list again. I grab element 4, the fourth element, which is index 3, and then I split that further line into a list based on white space. So I'm going to grab this line, and then I'm going to split this into fields based on white space when I have it done. So let's look at what that looks like. So here's the output from that. I've grabbed a single one of these lines and I've split it into white space, so I have all the individual fields from that. The key point from this is the lookup, and we're retrieving this data from an external file, and then we're just doing some processing on it to make it look cleaner to get the information we want from that file. Now a second type of lookup is actually a pipe into the file system. So once again here I have a playbook. Here's my playbook. Now notice my variable who. How is the who variable getting set? It's going to call a lookup. It's going to use the pipe, which actually means it's going to execute a system command. So here's the system command it's going to execute, and it's going to get that data back. And I'll go ahead and comment out the second example here, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so our variable came back, the whoami command at the Linux level does this, retrieves that my username is kbuyers, and it stuffs that into that variable. Now, as opposed to doing the commenting out that I did a minute ago, it would be better if I just add tags to my playbook. So I can say tags who am I, and then for the second task I can add a tag netmiko. Now if we re-execute this playbook, I can just add the tags who am I, and it's only going to do that first task. So the tags control what's getting executed. It only does the who am I. Now let's look at this second lookup here. So I have this showArp variable that I'm creating. Once again, I'm doing a pipe lookup. But now notice the command I'm calling. I'm actually calling this netmiko command. Now it took me a little bit of time to work out how to / escape the quotes. So I had to / escape these because that's already enclosed in double quotes. So I'm just escaping them there. So we're going to do a showArp command. We're going to do it on Pinet router 1. So this variable is going to get set by whatever output comes back from that, and then we're just going to print it out here. And we print it out using split lines to make it look a little bit nicer. Once again, we'll use our tags to execute it. So we'll use tags netmiko to only execute that one part of the playbook. So here we see we retrieved the showArp output, and we have these lines coming back to us. So this has shown you a couple of lookup types. I've shown you the file lookup type, and I've shown you the pipe lookup type. In the next video, we'll start talking about the template lookup and some interesting things that we can use with template lookups.